This is Kristen Ginter from Tech Ranch. We've been communicating through email in our Facebook group for the past couple of months. And on behalf of the Tech Ranch team, I would like to welcome you to the first webinar in a series of 6 in collaboration with the Eurasia Foundation, OPORA Russia, and the Inter-American Education Consortium. We welcome you to this webinar today. Our webinar is about how to tell your story with Tech Ranch CEO and founder, Kevin Coyne. Kevin teaches the American style of pitching your business to potential investors and partners. If you should have any questions during this webinar, please feel free to indicate that in our Q&A section or chat, and I will be monitoring to field your questions. We do have a translation tool available called Speak US. Please see the links to download in our chat. It is available on the Apple Store as well as Google Play. The 6-digit code is also available. With that, I will turn this over to Kevin. Again, welcome to our webinar this morning and hope to see you participate throughout the series. Thank you.
Hey, this is Kevin Coyne. Well, good morning, or actually I should say to my friends in Tumin, good afternoon, good evening. Excited to be here with you. I think you might have remembered, or I should say, first off today, what we're going to do is talk a little bit about how we can use what we call an elevator pitch to sell to investors and customers in the USA. I know that some of you have already had some interactions since our trip, since our trip, but being there back in the November timeframe, kind of excited to see what's coming out of that and some of the connections that are happening, and real excited that we're now working on the virtual workshop series so that we can actually start really building up those connections back and forth. My name's Kevin Coyne. I would do my video right now, but for some reason it's not allowing me to connect in with my face. So this is me. And as I mentioned when I was there in Tumin, and as Kristen just mentioned a few minutes ago, I am a long-term technology founder, got to work for Steve Jobs early in my career, and now am the head of Tech Ranch, and real excited to be a part of this process. In fact, I will be personally involved in the Facebook group that we'll be talking about and interacting with back and forth. So please do let us know if there's, any questions you have, both on this virtual workshop and as well as the ones that are coming in the future. So the promise of today's workshop, I put together this slide to say it's all about the money. It's all about how can we, with a very simple tool, significantly increase the chance of getting funding for your startup or your company, and significantly get a chance of selling increase between, when working with American clients. This is kind of an interesting thing in that there's some very specific elements of selling to Americans that I want to make sure that we point out. Kind of exciting to do. Also, I'll be making a little bit of fun of my home country because I know that Americans have certain peculiarities that would be interesting to know about. And it's exciting to get to do this type of work together. I think that as I mentioned while I was there in Tumin, I'm also real excited about just the possibility of the different businesses that we can tie together. In fact, one of the exciting things is there are 3 different technology companies from the Tumin area that I've taken a personal interest in and just seeing that we engage in. And I'm looking forward to hearing from more of you so that we can actually have other businesses that take advantage of the bridge that we're building. We are building this bridge not only with the Eurasia Foundation for the short term, but it's my expectation that a true bridge, we will actually need 3 to 5 years to really build out. And so I don't see this as this one webinar is just one, it's just one point along a long line of things that would be happening. So let's talk about the US communication style. I have a few ideas here on this slide. The first off is it's very direct. Business style, changes across the country, country of the United States. But by and large, compared to some of the other styles that I've interacted with, it's fairly direct. And like it says here, values logical and linear thinking. One of the nice things about the American style is it's fairly transparent. Like, it's like logically, if A, then B. Very, very direct. It's like very methodical for the most part. If you're straightforward in communicating, even if you have a accent, that won't be a big deal. Or even if you're working through translation, that won't be a big deal, as long as you're just very direct about methodologically talking about how your product works and what it does and things like that. A lot of times on the, when I say focus on contract signed first, it's important many times. There are many different cultures we've worked with where the culture itself will work on different aspects of relationship first. As an example, today, we're going to hear from one of our entrepreneurs from Mexico that was part of the bridge that we have between Texas and Mexico. And in Mexico, when I'm doing business in Mexico, one of the things that I know is the culture is very relational. It's very focused on, tell me about your family, tell me about different elements of that. Americans care about that, but we would, for the most part, not put that in front of talking about business first. And that's important because a lot of times you can dissuade an American from doing business with you if you bring a lot of relational things up first before the purpose of the relationship is clear about what the business relationship is. Business can happen very rapidly. It says business conducted rapidly. You'll be surprised by how fast an American can make a decision to do business with you. If there's an opportunity, things can move very, very fast. As an example, again, from one of the businesses that's from Mexico, a company called BioCab, we have been moving really rapidly with, a few 30-minute conversations, and then we had a new customer for them for a significant amount of money. And one of the things that I know that we share between Russian culture and American culture is that there is an appreciation for hard data and evidence. So that's something that we share. Now, that being said, the American investor, though, has, it's kind of a funny story, but American investors, by and large, because they're looking at so many deals, though, if you're not able to tell your story within a few minutes, and this says 5 minutes, but sometimes it's 2, you should note that an American investor, by and large, is going to make a decision, in a very, very short period of time. They might be pleasant and interact with you in a friendly way, but many times the decision that they will make to invest or not invest happens in a very, very quick time frame. So you should know that, and that's why we're talking about how to do pitches today and how to structure those type of pitches. American customers can be this way as well. When you are considering working with American customers, the main thing is knowing that a lot of times decisions are made this quick, even before all the different aspects of your business or your technology or your product are aware. The other thing to know is the US market, since it is the largest market in the world, it is very, very noisy. That is, as you can see from this example in New York Times Square, the number of advertisements that come at Americans is higher than probably anywhere else in the world. And because of that, the market is saturated. It's the largest market. There's a way of actually being effective, and there's a way of not being effective. As an example, these are messages that I took out of my LinkedIn. And in between February 9th, actually February 6th, 9th, 8th, 5th, and 12th, there actually were many other messages that I received on individuals that I didn't know trying to sell to me. Now, I happen to be very, very visible around the world publicly, so I do get a lot of messages. And I don't mean to take away from anyone in these messages here, but they're all ineffective. And because I get so many messages, like I was saying about in the previous slide, about how noisy things are, it just goes to show you that you want to be effective in your communication. And there's a lot of different ways of doing that. The main thing is, how is it that we can be effective in this whole process? By the way, Kristen has let me know to slow down a little bit. If anyone could give me feedback if this is the right speed, that would be great. So the main idea about the elevator pitch is we call this idea of pitching a very short pitch an elevator pitch. And why is that? You might imagine that you are standing on an elevator and someone that you need to talk to steps onto the elevator on the first floor with you. By the time that he or she is getting off the elevator on the 9th floor, like a very short period of time, the idea about the elevator pitch is that you have had enough time to create interest on the other side. And through the interest that you've created, you can actually, start the relationship that will lead to a sale. Now, we also find in working with entrepreneurs, the power of the elevator pitch is also strategically important. It's strategically important. The key thing here is it's strategically important because it forces the entrepreneur who's leading the business to slow down and focus on just what he or she wants out of the business. All of the examples that I gave from the previous slide about LinkedIn show bad examples of companies that are doing, one thing and another thing and another thing and another thing and another thing. And the problem is, if you present such general information to an American, especially an American like myself, or an investor like myself, with all sorts of different information, what it ends up doing is it ends up sounding like noise. Or I don't know if you're familiar with this comic book, but if you're familiar with Charlie Brown, if you've ever seen Charlie Brown on TV, in the comic book Charlie Brown, the teacher sounds like the following thing to the children. She sounds like something like this. She says, wah, 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 which essentially is meaningless because the information is so general. It's so general that it has no meaning at all. And that's part of the problem that we're up against when, as entrepreneurs, especially with early stage companies, that we have this difficulty. Now, one of the things that I think TechRanch is fairly unique about in how we use elevator pitches is we say that it's important to have the elevator pitch be not only a marketing tool, but it should be a strategic tool in saying, this is what we are capable of with the following, this is what the business is going to do. And it also implies this is what the business is not doing as well. Today, what I'd like to do is I'm going to have one of our entrepreneurs that went through a bridge that we built between Austin and Mexico. His name is David Potes. He'll tell you about his business. And part of what we want to do is I've asked him to share his pitches, the one that he did before he went through this process. And then after a little bit of feedback and interaction, we'll hear the difference with the pitch that he got to after honing it for some period of time. The first version will be his pitch shared kind of very simply, just like he did when he showed up at Tech Ranch the first day. And from that, David, make sure that you speak slowly, but let me hand this over to you.
Sure. Thank you, Kevin. So hi, everybody. Good evening. I'm speaking from Monterrey, Mexico, and it's my pleasure to talk to you all. Like Kevin said, my name is David Potes. I'm the CEO of Apollo Health. And Kevin, if you need me also to just say anything else about the process during Tech Ranch, just let me know. So my original pitch.
I tell you what, in a second, just weave it into what you're going to say, but I'd love to have you mention a little bit about part of the reason I wanted to have you speak is I wanted you to talk a little bit about the value of having the bridge so that others can see how they can take advantage of the bridge that we're building between Russia and Texas.
Sure. So let me start with my original pitch or my pitch before we entered Tech Ranch. So we are a company based in Monterrey, Mexico. Our company name is Apollo Health, and we help healthcare providers to attract, serve, and retain patients. We offer consulting, commercial, and business services supported on digital tools, which have the objective to create healthcare ecosystems where the patient can find all the healthcare services that she or he needs interconnected under one single brand. Through the creation of process, software, and friendly technology, we create commercial strategies to capitalize in patient engagement. So that was our original pitch before we went through the Tech Ranch process.
Now, one of the things that, David, I think might be interesting to consider is when you came to the US the first time and you were using a pitch like that, what happened?
So one of the main things that and one of the things I particularly take on working with Kevin and everybody in Tech Ranch is that, and it's one of the more difficult things is how to make something complicated seem easy or seem very easy to understand. So one of the things I would like to say is that we were always very ambitious of what we're trying to do in the healthcare system, both in Mexico and the US. So we were trying to explain everything in one single pitch. So one of the things that happened when we went to pitch in the US is that people were somehow interested. So I think they got a thing or some of the things from our pitch, some of the things were seeming interesting. But in the main conclusion from several people we talked to is that we had to explain more. We weren't clear with what we're trying to say. So, and also the people that asked questions and tried to understand what we were doing, we found out that those questions, we were not getting our message through. The message that we were trying to explain of what we do, it was confusing.
Yeah, especially, I mean, I don't know how many words that you just used, but for the short attention span of Americans, I'm sure that it was too many, right?
Yes, and I don't know if it's the same in Russia, but in Mexico, one of the things that this being in Tech Ranch also helped me with, even though there's a huge cultural difference between the US and Mexico, it also helped me to make more easy to understand our pitch also in Mexico, because using the same strategy, just applying it to our Mexican culture. But yes, one of the things is that it was too long. It had a lot of concepts, a lot of messages that we were trying to push in one single a pitch, and it came out that way. As too many messages, we were all over the place.
Well, so let's do this. One of the things that before we get you to do the next version of the pitch, does anyone from any of our listeners actually have any feedback about what they noticed about the pitch? If you do, just use the chat to say that you have some. And what we can do is I am plugging into the other channels so I can actually hear, and if there's someone speaking in Russian to translate for in English. I'm going to do this. I'm going to assume that we don't have any key questions right now. Yeah. Okay. Gleb, got it. Gleb says the pitch is too long and it contains too many messages. A good example. That is a great example. Other feedback that you or anyone else has? Well, I would agree. Same thing about what Gleb's saying is with all the different parts of what David shared, there's a lot of different parts of the message. And me as an American with a short attention span, it's hard to figure out, okay, what is the next step that I'm supposed to ask about? You know, it's kind of like on television. I like to make fun of Americans. I mean, I'm American, so I like making fun of my own country. And that, you know, it's like on TV. You kind of have to have sex or violence or something to keep the person engaged. And so, David, let's do this. Let's now hear from you on an example of where you got this down to.
Sure. So our new pitch is we just want to say we saved the first sentence because I think it's concise, but then we changed the rest of the pitch. So this is how it goes. We empower healthcare providers to attract, serve, and retain patients. We enable solutions to potentialize healthcare providers' relationship and experience with their patients by creating new communication channels powered by the use of patient engagement tools and data analysis, aiming for improved health outcomes, better patient care, and lower costs. Right now, we currently have working with 12 hospitals and over 24,000 users in Mexico.
And how many words is that? To give some examples back on the number of words specifically.
I don't have it, but if you give me just 1 second, I'll let you know.
So while he's counting, the thing that I even see in giving him feedback on the pitch as it stands is right now the number one thing that American investors are listening for is traction. Now, what is traction? Traction is specifically results. I like to joke about Americans in saying, when you want to talk to dogs, you should talk in a language of what they care about. When we're talking to dogs, we should talk about meat. You know, dogs care about meat. And so when talking to investors, the key thing is speaking specifically about what is it that really they're going to listen to more than anything else. So my feedback to David right now, even for this version of his pitch, would be maybe even starting with the traction first. Something like Apollo Health is deployed in 12 hospitals working with more than 25,000 patients. We help attract, serve, and retain patients for healthcare providers. And then The next sentence would be something very unique about what they do, and then done. David, I hope you don't mind that I'm actually on the fly giving you feedback about
I appreciate it.
But do you see what I mean? Let's like, we've already got traction. So the investor actually says, oh, wait, this guy is serious. Then the second sentence is, this is what we do. We help attract, serve, and retain patients. Doctor or healthcare provider or, hospital administrator, we do the following thing. And then the third thing would be the how statement. How do you do it? How do you do it? Just give me one short sentence.
Sure. We enable solutions to potentialize healthcare providers' relationship and experience with their patients. That will be the very short way to explain it.
Yeah, we could even tighten that up even more to say.
Or the other, if I may, the other sentence that we sometimes use is that we use our patient relation management platform that enables healthcare providers to manage and automate interactions and communications with current and potential patients.
Yeah, so the key things for everyone about what I hear is we help manage and automate the interactions. And so part of what, if I'm talking to a hospital system and an administrator at a hospital system, the message that I'm sending to him or her is we're helping solve the number of people you have to have working for you while staying connected to the patients. So we help manage and automate the relationship with your patients, right? That is the key thing. Now, it seems very simple, and part of what I'm attempting to do is say, hey, David, give us this pitch, make it really tight, and then part of what we teach is then how to engage beyond that. I'll talk a little bit more about that in a second, but David, you want to give one last time just so we get a sense of where you might where we're getting to?
Do you want me to pitch again, or just give?
Yeah, do it one more time. Try to do it as tight as possible, shortest number of words possible, while still being effective.
Sure. So we are Apollo Health. We are currently working with 12 hospitals, and we are attending over 24,000 users. What we do is that we empower healthcare providers to attract, serve, and retain patients. And we do this with our patient relationship management platform, which enables healthcare providers to attract, manage, and automate interactions with their current and potential patients, aiming to lower costs, improve revenue cycles, and most importantly, improve the outcome of their patients' health.
Got it. And even on those type of things, like even in that last thing, the message might end up being improving your revenue cycle, period, so that you can actually, because you're speaking specifically to the hospital administrator.
Yeah.
The main thing that I'm trying to show everyone, thank you, David, for that. I appreciate it. The main thing I'm wanting to show everyone is how to really whittle things down to a very short pitch that they can be effective in a really noisy environment. Let's do this. What I want to do is I actually would like to have everyone here be able to go through this process, the process that we use for refinement. And we're going to take just a few minutes. We should be done in 10 minutes before we to get to the next step. But part of what I'd like to do is have the chance for several of you to pitch live so we can create interaction back and forth. Part of what I'd like to do is then start by asking you 3 short questions. And on each one, if you want to participate, I'm going to give you about 30 seconds per question to write something down on paper. And then we'll actually have a short section to do the actual work. And then we'll share, a couple of you that want to share, we can share. So the first question is, what does your company do? I'm going to give you 30 seconds to just write that down. What does your company do? If some of you want to do this into the chat session, I'm totally open to that as well.
And Kevin, we do have a question in the chat as far as, do you need to write the pitch on paper in a conversation or in a conversational style? Or
I like the conversational style. Yeah, no, I now see it. I like the conversational style. The thing for the effectiveness on this, just get to the core words that matter, whether it's in a conversation or otherwise. On the what does your company do though, there is no limitation on this. This is stream of consciousness. What does the company do? Write as many words as, we're not refining it down to the short pitch yet. And then on the second question, I do think that there's value to actually doing this right now, live on paper. Okay, I'm going to assume that you've done that. Now, the second question, no limitation on words. How does your company do this? How does your company achieve whatever the result is? Take 30 more seconds. Write down a few words about that, and we'll go from there. Okay, so we'll go ahead and call that part done. So now, in speaking to Americans, why does your company do this? Why does it matter? I'm going to give you a minute on this one because of how important it is. There's no limitation on the words, the number of words that you use. But state, why is it that this happens this way? Or why did you start the company? There's lots of different things you could be doing with your time, but why is it you started this company? Great. Okay, so I'm going to assume that you've gotten to write that. Just give me a little bit of feedback. Did everyone get to answer the questions? What, how, why? Any questions before we go to the actual exercise part of this about the content about any one of those pieces? Don't see any questions, so I'm going to go ahead and go to the next stage. Now, I made up the following formula. I took some classes that are actually for politics here in Texas. And no, I'm not involved in politics. I decided that I loved being an entrepreneur more than whoever would want to do anything in that. In fact, I found the politics quite frustrating. But one of the things that they had was they said that when a candidate has a message that they should be using 3 points, be able to say it in 9 seconds with only 27 words. And as I sat in the back of the room learning about this, I was like, wow, that is an elevator pitch. Now, in the first version of this, when I worked with the first group of entrepreneurs that I worked with years and years ago was all engineers, and the engineers asked me to create a formula. So the following thing, the formula is company name plus Y plus what plus how. That's the formula. Ignore the part about the question. I'll tell you a little bit about that in a second, but ignore everything below the line. So you do not have to use this formula. Some of you already have elevator pitches, but the challenge that I offer to you is that you should be able to say your pitch in 27 to 30 words. And that's counterintuitive in some ways, because there might be a lot that you want to say about your company. But the truth is that part of what really matters is having a way of being very effective at this. So I'm going to give you a minute to come up with a 27 to 30 word statement of an elevator pitch. And again, ignore the part about the question. I'll talk about that in just a second. Go ahead and take the next minute to write one down. Follow the formula or not, but get it down to 27 words. David, make sure you do this as well. Thirty seconds more. Okay, let's bring that to a close. Now, without it counting towards the 27 to 30 word limit, the idea about having a question is, so you just rode up the elevator with the person that you really need to talk to, the person that you're convinced has the answer or is one of your prospective customers. The key question here is, what is the question that you would ask this individual to engage them? Now, there are two different types of questions. One of them is something like a yes/no question. Is the person that we're talking to the right person, as an example? Like, I'm David Potus. Hi, I'm David Potus from Apollo Health. We're working with 12 different hospitals and more than 24,000 patients across different parts of Mexico. We have a very special patient management system that helps us do so, and we'll help you increase your revenue cycle of your hospital by helping you automate and manage the relationship with your patients. Okay, so he just said that part, but now I need to ask a question. The question is, would you like to hear more? Or the question is, are you the person in this hospital that's responsible for these type of systems? Or it could just be, is there a person that I can talk to that would save this, this type of interaction? Any one of these type of questions is a yes/no question. And we call that a qualification question. The second type of question, and you get to decide which kind of question you want to have, is a question that we call of the type engagement. David says his elevator pitch, and then at the end of the elevator pitch, he says, how are you doing this right now? If he asks a how question or something along those lines, it forces the other person to answer all this, to take some time to answer the question. If I have a patient management system, I do the following thing, blah, blah, blah. And then I say, hey, Mr. Administrator, how are you doing this? That person now has to answer with more than a yes, no, and I'm really engaging them in a conversation. And so each one of those is important as an example. So the question, whether you do it for engagement or qualification, that's your choice. I see some chat back and forth and say, can I answer these questions by the microphone? Yes, what we're gonna do is we'd love to have several of you share your pitch. What I'm going to do is Kristen is going to promote each one of you or she'll promote one at a time. So if you're ready to go with a pitch, if you could either raise your hands with using Zoom's hand raising, and then as soon as you're ready, let's go right in. Please share. I wish I knew how to translate Russian names. Sasha, if you see the name that starts with TAT, tell me how to say that person's name.
Hello.
Tatiana. Oh yeah,
Yeah.
Tatiana. Welcome.
Hi there.
Go ahead and share your pitch, please.
Okay. Our company, Global Intellect Service, helps little and micro entrepreneurs to their businesses with the help of mobile application. We do plan to increase the economy of every single country with the help of this mobile application, which names is United Digital Solutions. That's all.
Say it again. No, say it again. Right at the very beginning for me, my microphone, I just couldn't hear you perfectly. So say that again.
Sorry, maybe. So all the everything.
Yeah, say it again, all the way through.
Okay. So our
And
company.
actually, let me mention this to everyone that's listening. For everyone that's listening, the thing that I've quite literally given feedback on thousands of pitches. I'd like to actually have feedback come from the group. So be listening with the intent to give a little bit of feedback to Tatiana.
Okay. So can I start?
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay. So our company, Global Intellect Service, helps little and micro entrepreneurs to their businesses with the help of a mobile application. We do plan to increase the economies of every single country with the help of this application, which name is United Digital Solutions. That's all.
Okay, what I'd love to do, if you can use the chat right now, anyone
Okay.
have feedback for Tatiana?
Okay.
So some of my feedback, Tatiana, is that, and this is me being, so I practice martial arts. And so a lot of times my sensei, when I'm practicing martial arts, likes to give me lots of feedback. Sometimes he is very, very specific in his feedback. I'm going to, I just give you some feedback about this. And you use the word application twice. And if I only give you 27 words, using the words twice, it actually, it's a little confusing for, you don't have to use it twice. The main thing about it is there's a way of whittling that down. Was that 27 words, by the way? Tatiana, are you still with us? You have, looks like you're on mute right now. If you can't come back and interact, just keep the line open so you're not interacting back and forth. So how many words do you have in your pitch?
I'm here. I'm here.
Yeah, I hear you now.
I counted it's 30.
30, okay, got it. One of the things that I would do is the key question about what I didn't hear is how does your company do this? You don't have to limit your number of words, but how, like, what you do is you help these small organizations. What do you actually do for them, though? There's an application that you're using, but what is it you actually do?
So we put this in their mobile phones in front of the owner, and the owner of the business can control all the processes and all the workers by his mobile phone, and to communicate with all the clients, and to involve new clients, and attract new clients, and to hold ex-loyal clients with the help of this application.
And say a little bit more about how it helps. Just give me like some details about that, and I'll see how I can actually help refine it.
Yeah. Okay. So it's it's kind of discount or bonus cards. Thousands of bonus cards in your pocket. I mean, in your telephone for the client. I mean. So if you come, for example, to the restaurant and for the first time, and they gave you their bonus card, and for your first visit, you can get some $10 as bonus for the first for your first dinner. So that's why you the entrepreneur attract this first client. And after the first dinner, your I think 3 or 5 persons came like a cashback on your account, and on this way you can the entrepreneur attract this client to come again, and to use these points, these bonuses, once again for the second and for the third and for the fourth visit.
Got it. So, and is it mainly focused on restaurants?
No. For every businesses, just B2C. The most of our clients are B2C. So our company now works in 65 countries during 5 years of our life.
Got it. So, now I think as we talk about this, remember, since we're talking to Americans and dogs want to hear about meat, one of the things that's actually really interesting about that is that the fact that you're already deployed to 65 countries, that is really cool, right? I mean, that's cool from a standpoint of all of a sudden.
Even in Austin, I see this company. I'm in one of the rent-a-car companies, something of that kind. There is an Austin who uses this program, this software.
Yes. Well, so with that little bit, just like I was saying to David earlier, remember how David in his first version of his, even in the second time he did his pitch, he kind of teased us in that he told us at the very end about being deployed in 12 hospitals with 24,000 clients. In your pitch, the value of your company can go up an insane amount in a very short period of time by saying, hi, my name's Tatiana. I don't remember the name of the company, so I'll just say ABC Corp is deployed in 65 countries. We help organizations maintain customer loyalty by creating repeat relationships with them. Right? You see what I've said? And then I didn't say anything about applications. I didn't say anything else. But I said, I talked in the language of meat. Meat is the traction. Because as soon as you say, your company stops being a little company from Siberia, as soon as you say, Yeah, we're deployed in 65 different countries around the world,
Yeah.
Including in Austin, Texas.
Yeah.
You know, and you say that at the very beginning, and all of a sudden you get people to sit up and listen to you much more. So, hi, my name is Tatiana. I want to tell you about ABC Corp. We're deployed in 65 different countries around the world, including Austin, Texas. We support we support maintaining customer loyalty with your customers doing X, Y, and Z. Done. And then the question could be like, how do you presently maintain customer loyalty programs? Do you see how that's does my language actually make sense about how in some ways it's very aggressive, but it just knocks down the door very quickly? Because I don't mean this in a bad way or anything like that, but in the pitch that you gave the first time, the difficulty was, I don't know if Tatiana is this nice person in Tumen who just came up with this idea, or if Tatiana has like something that's worth, a lot of money to my company. Like, does that make sense? One of the examples that we would give is, I call it the startup weekend test. When you tell your pitch, is it possible that two college kids on a weekend, when they decide to one weekend to start up a company, could they say the same pitch? And it's really clear that two college kids couldn't actually be deployed in 65 countries after a weekend. You know what I mean? But the pitch you gave at the very beginning, two college kids could have given the same pitch. They could have said, we have an application that works with micro and mini sized clients, and it does the following things. Versus, hey, I'm Tatiana. ABC Corp has deployed in 65 countries. We help organizations maintain customer loyalty programs in order to help you drive more revenue in your business. There's the why, by the way. Would you like to hear more? Or how do you maintain customer loyalty programs now? And with those short words, it's a really brutal. Hopefully that makes sense. I'd love to actually get other feedback from that standpoint. But Tatiana, how might you actually refine your pitch now based on what you hear me saying?
Pardon? How much?
How would you say your pitch now?
Well, just as you said.
Yeah, go ahead. Try it. Just try it.
Okay.
Everything's okay.
Okay. So, so our company, Global Intellect Service, works now in 65 countries and even in Austin, Texas. We help entrepreneurs to hold loyal clients and to gain new ones with the help of mobile program. And what else? And we plan to find partners actually and investors all over the world like this.
Yeah, no, it sounds great. It's like any exercise, right? There's any exercise takes time back and forth. So do that. What I'd like you to do is I'd like you to take that, reflect on it a little bit, and in the next 24 hours, post. You can do it in text, or you can post a video of you doing it, and I'll give further feedback, and we'll have other people that are giving feedback as well. And through that, since you already deployed so much, it'd be great to also know what's the name of the company here, because here in Austin, Texas, because that actually would be interesting. I would love to use this as an excuse to
Okay, I'll send you the QR code and you can
Yeah,
use it.
perfect. Yeah,
Okay.
perfect. Yeah, and you're already in the Facebook group, right? Do
Yeah,
you have
yeah,
access to the Facebook group? Okay,
yeah,
perfect.
yeah, of
Yeah,
course.
please do that. We'll hear from a couple other people, but thank you, Tatiana. I appreciate you taking the pioneering step of being first. That sounds
Thank
great.
you.
And yeah, it's exciting to see what you've already created. So congratulations on that.
Thank you.
Cool. Kristen, who's next?
I wanted to see if Alexei was ready. Alexa, I guess.
Alexi?
Yes. Let me promote. So this is the cotton candy machine.
Alexi. Let's see, it looks like you don't have your microphone on yet. Okay, your microphone's on. Go right ahead.
Да. Так, меня слышно? Здравствуйте.
Yes, I can.
Мгм. Отлично. Так, ну, спич мой. Здравствуйте. Наша компания называется «Деловая Русь». Ну, я представляю на данный момент не свою компанию, а компанию своего партнера. Вот. Мы занимаемся производством аппаратов сахарной ваты. Сахарная вата – это такой вечный продукт и дает много положительных эмоций нашим клиентам. Мы производим уникальные и надежные аппараты для приготовления сахарной ваты и по низкой стоимости. Они уже продаются во многих странах по всему миру и на данный момент в том числе в Америке. Также они сертифицированы, и вот интересно было бы вам поучаствовать в таком бизнесе.
Okay, I love the example. I love cotton candy. I'm wondering, since I give feedback so much, does anyone want to say anything before, have feedback that they'd like to share on the chat before I hop in? Perhaps there's other Americans that heard the translation that would actually like to do the same. Well, I tell you what, I think I see a hand. Kristen, help me if I'm missing anyone, since I have so many open windows over here. My feedback, Alexi, is this. You mentioned, at least through the translation, the idea of low cost 2 or 3 times. And you really only have to say that once. The other thing on following the American style that you might try is the usage of traction was good. The second thing is give us a sense of what it is like to hand, cotton joy to customers. I think your pitch could be effective for the locations that would like to have an additional revenue stream that's not going to cost them very much, that the why is hand your customers cotton joy while making money from one of our low cost American certified machines. What I'm trying to give you as an example is for something that is so straightforward and that we've all had as an example, we've all had before, cotton candy. And what you're wanting to do is to sell to the customers. I would say something like, would you like to create an additional revenue stream for your business? At ABC Corporation, we have American certified cotton candy machines that are low cost. Hand your customers cotton joy while making an additional revenue stream for your company. Do you see how quick and how quickly that hits this? Does that make sense?
Да, да.
Good. I didn't even have to hear the translation to understand that. Da. So, and with that, now I don't know what the words cotton joy might be, or some word for creating an emotional response. I made up the words cotton joy at the same time, but it's something like that, where in 2 words, you give the customer a sense that you're creating more revenue for them while having fun with the process.
Kevin, we are 1 minute over our time, but I did want to give Igor an opportunity to pitch his business as well before we close.
That sounds great. Thank you, Alexi. Please go ahead and post in the Facebook group with your following pitch. I'd love to hear it. And I'll get one of my Russian friends to translate for me. Okay, go ahead. Kristen, you can promote Igor.
He's now promoted.
Igor, you're live. Just go ahead and take your microphone off.
Hello, everybody.
Yeah. Yes, I can hear you.
Сейчас слышно?
Yes, I can hear you now.
So, Kevin, I can use my usual version of my pitch or 27 version.
Try the 27-word version.
Okay. We are Widex, the developments of wearables devices in particular, and telemedicine, remote control of your health, modern non-invasive methods and cloud solutions. Are you confident in your health?
Say it one more time, and say it a little bit slower for me this time. Yeah, say it one more time, Igor, and just say it slowly.
Я могу сказать по-русски, так будет проще.
Okay.
Мы компания Widex, наше основное направление разработки массивных устройств, в частности IT-телемедицина, удаленный контроль вашего здоровья, современные неинвазивные методы и облачные решения. Вы уверены в своем здоровье?
Okay, so for the essence of time, I'll give feedback myself. There is a lot of technical jargon, that you're saying wireless, that you're saying cloud, things like that, that from the standpoint of technology and from the standpoint of being an engineer, those are important things. But the truth is, from the standpoint of the customer, how you're implementing it is not that important. The fact that it's cloud or wireless or things like that is not that important. The idea of wireless, what that really represents to the customer is freedom to not have to go to the hospital to get tested, but that that you're always able to interact. Like the question that you started with, that is a good example. Like the question says, hey, and you could even start the pitch by using the question first. You could say, would you like to be able to stay in touch with your health on a daily basis? At Widex, we have a platform for monitoring our health that allows you to do A, B, and C, whatever A, B, and C are. And then the next statement would be focused on, is this for hospitals? Is this for doctors? Or is this for end user customers? The next thing I would say is, how would you, if it's for a doctor, maintain contact with your patients across 30 of them at the same time without having to pull them into the clinic. Or if it's for the patients themselves, you know, you're empowered to monitor your own health without having to rely on your doctor. Or if it's for the hospital system where you're managing this across thousands of patients, it sounds more like what David Potes is doing. Although, and you know, maybe even you and David could touch base, where you say, we have a system for monitoring this across thousands of patients for the hospital administrator. Do you see what I'm saying? Does this make sense, Igor?
Да, конечно.
Perfect. What I'd love to have you do is, this is Igor that I met in Tumen, right?
Yeah.
Okay, good,
Yes.
good. Perfect. I'm very happy that you're on tonight. Thank you for taking the time out. I'm glad that. Thank you for being so patient, because I know you and I started talking in December, and then I was saying I can't wait till we have the virtual workshops. Do this. I want you to take the idea that I just said and then post it into the Facebook group. And what we'll do is we'll have a chance to interact more. Like I said, to anybody that can hear me, and Igor, you especially, please make it a point to actually over the next 24 hours take this pitch, and I will be checking. I know you probably will go to sleep tonight, but I will be checking for the pitches all day long tomorrow, and I'll personally give feedback over the next 24 hours. If there are 5 pitches or if there are 25 pitches, I will make it a point to review all of them myself. Obviously, the Facebook group has even more Americans in it that can give feedback, and we will be recruiting even more to create interactions. In the case of what you're working on, I'll even ask David Potes, who's been doing business in Mexico and the United States. I'll ask him to personally review as well. So, David, I don't know if you're still on or not, but if you can. Yes, yeah, David, please make sure that in the Facebook group that you review Igor's pitch, especially, and you two might even share with the Zoom chat contact information right now so that you're connected, because it sounds like that he has a complementary product to what you're working on. But that being said,
sure.
That being said, if you can, I would love to have everyone in the Facebook group sharing this. I personally, as many pitches will be there, I'll continue to monitor the Facebook group even over the next few weeks. But I will make it I've set aside time, especially over the next 24 hours, as the feedback to this, as part of this virtual workshop. I will personally review and give feedback on anybody that pitches so that we're there. So let me do this. In wrapping up, on March 18th, at this same time, our next event is How Do I Get Funding? Where we're going to take some of the messaging that what we did during this time And we will take and have 2 entrepreneurs that have gone through the funding process share more about that. You can always find the events at techranch.com/events. We will also post them into the bridge, the Facebook group. And so certainly that would be there as well. There will also be a number of other events. There's a total of 6 in total, this being the first of 6. And then because you're on today, one of the things that I've authorized Kristen to do is we have a program called the Venture Outfitter. And anyone that would like to have access to even more programs without having to pay for anything, we have another program that runs every Thursday. It is a little bit late for Tumen, but that being said, I want to make sure that as long as you don't mind, at 10 o'clock at night, 11 o'clock at night, you can actually take advantage of this free program that we already run that you'll have access to as well. And Kristen will be posting into the Facebook group details of that. So we'll definitely make sure that we do that. One more little thing, just a reminder about the Facebook group. Sasha, thank you very much for today's translation. It's great to have you on, and I greatly appreciate the work that you're doing. David Potes, thank you for joining us and sharing your insight on your business. Kristen, and to Artem and Elena in Tumen, and to Craig on the Tech Ranch team. Thank you all for pulling this together. I'm real excited about what's happening. Let's build strong bridges together, and together we can actually solve a lot of the world's problems by just doing what we're doing as entrepreneurs, building our businesses, creating tools that create stronger relationships and technologies in the world. And especially like with companies like what Igor just shared, stuff like, that helps you monitor your health and take care of ourselves. With that, I'm real excited about today. Thank you for your time. I'll look forward to seeing you in the Facebook group, and let me know if you have any questions by posting into Facebook groups, and we'll go from there. Thank you for today. Y'all take good care. Bye-bye.